You are given a string, you are supposed to evaluate it to a Boolean expression. A string that looks something like this. F represents false, and this is not operator, so not false means true. Now this pipe operator means or, so if you have, well, T means true, so if you false or true, it's going to evaluate true. Do take note that pipe operator can evaluate up to 2 or more, so you can put as many expressions as you want here. Also, inside the parentheses, it doesn't have to be only F or T. It can be expressions also, meaning you can put expressions inside expressions. For this means and, true and false, it's false. A slightly more complicated expression is this, where since you have expressions inside expressions, you need to evaluate the inner expression first. So if this is the and, if you true and false and true, it's false. So this is false. Ignore the comma. If you are not true, this is false. So false, false. And you or, so false or false, it's false. How shall we approach this problem? I have copy-pasted the string that we went through just now. This string is the same as this string. So this is false, this is false, false or false is false. There are two kinds of solutions that come to mind: recursion or stack. And these two solutions really are the same, because stack, well, because recursion is really just call stack. And call stack is just invisible to you. You're trusting the recursion process. And a stack is just your own stack. Well, recursion works because recursion is really good at dealing with breaking down a very complicated problem. We have very big parentheses, breaking it into smaller subsystems, all the way until we reach the base case, where the base case is straightforward. And the stack works the same way. Now, we are going to use a stack. If you do LeetCode questions a lot, every time you see parentheses problems, backspace, or file path navigation is almost always stack. Now, stack is really about knowing when to push and when to pop, right? Because that's all a stack is. You push it and you pop it. You pop it from the top. Now, have this question in mind. When shall we pop it, and pop until when? As of now, let us just loop through this string. I'm going to use this notation to indicate where have we looped until, or the current character. So let's push every character onto our stack. So we first push the pipe operator. We push open, then we push and, then we push open, push true, push comma, false, comma, true. Now, when we reach until here, let's ask ourselves, maybe it's kind of time to pop. Well, I mean, you must first push it, then you pop it. And the reason is, when you're popping something, it signals to you that it's time to evaluate your expression, right? Because what we are really interested in is the value of this whole chunk, which consists of a operator and a space that contains your expressions. This space is determined by your open and your close. So whenever you encounter a close parenthesis, it signals to you Well, you know what? It's time to evaluate. When it's time to evaluate, it's like, well, you know what? It's time to pop, right? So, well, when I say pop, you must push it. Then you pop it. You maybe I can use a different color. You pop it. Now let's ask ourselves, we pop until where? All right. So pop, 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 pop. We kind of like we can pop until here, but if we only pop until the open parentheses, we do not know what kind of operation we are supposed to be doing, right? Because if you can do and, you can also do or. So we must pop until at 1. Now maybe we should stop popping, right? Because this open parentheses is none of our business. Just now it is here, we start popping, we only pop until here. Well, let's not pop any further. So the general rule is whenever you encounter a close parentheses, you start popping until you reach a open parentheses plus 1, right? In all other cases, you keep pushing. Now the question is, okay, I know I pop until here, and then what? Right? Let's worry about it later. Let's suppose that we can somehow evaluate this whole trunk. Okay? As of now, we do not know, but let's worry about it later. And let's use our human brain to evaluate this whole chunk. It is false. So somehow we can evaluate it to be false. Let's push the result of false to the stack. Okay. So just now what we did is we pretend that we know how to evaluate this whole trunk to be false. We have not coded it yet, but let's pretend. Then we continue looping, push, 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 push. Aha. So let's start popping. Pop, 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 pop. Right? Now let's pretend we know how to handle these guys. So use our human brain. We know this is false. This is false. Then we loop until here. Aha. It's time to start popping. We pop, 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 pop. Let's use our human brain to evaluate it. We know it is false, so we pop everything and we push the result of false onto the stack. So this is the general structure of the code. You are looping through. Whenever it is not open, where it is not closed, you push, else pop till you see open, then pop again for the operator. Now it is finally time to evaluate the substring that we popped. When we loop until here, we will pop until here. So we are evaluating this substring. However, when we are popping, we will not receive this substring. What we will actually receive is in the order that is popped from the top. So it will be in the reverse order of this, which makes it a little bit tricky. So let's filter out the useful information. Garbage, true. So this is what we receive. True, garbage, false, garbage, true, garbage, end. arguably the most important information, which is this operator, we only receive it in the end. Now that's tricky because if this is AND, our result is false. But if this is OR, our result will be true. So you can see without prior knowledge what operation we are gonna do, we do not know what results we are gonna have. So some people may suggest, you know what, let's use a temporary array to store it. However, that is gonna introduce extra space. There is a constant space solution, which is using two variables, has true, has false. Both are Boolean, both are initialized to false. What these two variables are gonna do is, at first, our substring do not have true or false, right? Then when we start popping, when we pop true, okay, we receive a true. Now since we has true, so it's very self-explanatory. Has true, now is true. Now when we pop into here, has false, okay, now has false is true. Now we pop into here, true is already true, so it is still true. Now we receive an AND operation. All we need to look at is if we has false, since you are doing an AND operation, you are definitely false, right? If there's no false, you are definitely true. What I did is to rewrite the knowledge that we have just now. If the case is an AND operation, we only need to look at has false. Because if there is a false, no matter you have true or not, our result is going to evaluate a false. If you do not have false, well, we definitely has at least one true. Our result is going to evaluate to true. Now let's look at the case of OR. Because you have OR, you will ignore has false. Let's look at if you have true, you are definitely true because you are doing AND. Sorry, you are doing OR. If you do not have true, then you have at least one false. The reason is we do not have empty expression. This is not a valid input. So you definitely have at least one false. So false. Now the last case is not. For not is fairly straightforward because a not operator is only allowed to have one character inside. All right, so whatever it is, you're gonna flip it. So we can look at has true. If you are true, you are the only element inside the expression, then you are false. If you are true, then you return false because we are flipping it. If you are false, then you are true. Now we know everything there is to this question. Let us start coding. We're going to follow through, loop through the string, ignore the commas. If it is not back, parentheses, you push, else you pop until you see the front parentheses. Then you pop again for the operator. So you have a stack. Loop through. We can ignore comma because it doesn't add any value. If it is not back parentheses, you push There we go.